Scano, say Ogoigo. I'm just gonna share my screen quickly. Oh, it's amazing to be here. I guess I'll just get right into it if that feels good to everyone so we can keep on your schedule. First, I just want to say thank you so much for being able to accommodate me today. I've been dealing with some personal family emergencies back home, and I really appreciate the opportunity to still share about this project. Can everyone hear me okay? Because I can't see the crowd. I just see people running. Good? Okay. Yeah, and so today I'm going to present to you about the Sour Springs Longhouse Sustainable Restoration. This is Haudenosaunee led and it is community powered. So who am I? I am Serena Mendizabal, Scano Sewaguego, Serena Nigauso, Guy Cononio Coenzo da, Otinge Shout da. Hi everyone, I'm Serena Mendizabal. I'm Cayuga Wolf Clan. I am from Six Nations of the Grand River. I'm also Panamanian on my dad's side, and I am managing director at Sacred Earth. We're an Indigenous woman-led nonprofit that supports frontline Indigenous communities with climate solutions and healing justice. And I think for me, what I really wanted to ground myself in is home. And I feel like in terms of this, my long journey with ImaGENation, with the Sour Springs project, within this last decade that I've dedicated my most of my youth to clean energy and climate solutions, to me, it all comes back to home. And so, Six Nations, we are the largest First Nation in so-called Canada. We're about an hour southwest of Toronto. So, if you've ever been to Toronto, that's Haudenosaunee territory. And we live on the Grand River. And so, the Grand River spans about 240 kilometers from the source to the mouth. The mouth opens up onto Lake Erie. So, we are Great Lakes people. For me, I have always grown up on the Grand River. This is where I've always been. This is what I consider home. And for a lot of our people in Six Nations, the Grand River is home. We originally were within the Upper New York State. And during the American Revolution, we actually sided with the British. And to see where that brought us now, it brought us through the Sullivan campaign and then further through the Haldeman Proclamation, where our land rights were affirmed. And our villages during the American Revolution were actually burnt down by the Americans. And so we needed to find somewhere to prosper and we needed some to find somewhere of safety. And so that was the Grand River. It was the closest thing to home and it had everything that home did as well. And present day, this is home to me. This is what makes up my life back home. So when you see me traveling or you see me out and about, when I come home, this is what I come home to. My amazing mother, my amazing partner, Chad, who some of you may know, who I actually met through Indigenous Clean Energy 3 years ago. My brother, my friends, our food, our corn, our lands. This is home to me. And so I wanted to share a little piece of that. And so when I was going through some of these pictures, what really came up was all of the amazing and beautiful memories that I have of home and how interconnected that is with our longhouse. We are longhouse people. Some people like to say that the Haudenosaunee translate into people of the longhouse, but we really were the Six Nations that all come together and we're a confederacy of people. And when I look at the longhouse and I look at all the memories, I think of the joy and the care and the love that comes from it. And to me, this is what brought me home. I guess in 2020, it was COVID. I was doing my master's, and I think a lot of us felt the same way. I just wanted to come home. I didn't want to be at university. I didn't want to be in a sterile environment. I wanted to be home, and this is where I wanted to be. And so for me, it only made sense to bring this work home and to bring doing over the last decade back to my people. And we were asked, okay, how do we get to this project idea? And so I've mentioned I've worked in this for almost a decade and I had so many different trials and tribulations that have come up. I worked in our development corporation. I worked in consultations on our utility scale projects. That didn't seem to jive with our people. They felt it was non-consensual within this renewable energy transition. And I listened. And when I really reflected, okay, what does a just transition look like? It came back to our families. And so this is our wampum of our great law of peace. This each line represents our families. And for me, okay, how am I going to create a just transition in community that is centered around our families, that is centered around our ceremony, and that is centered around our governance? And for us, wampum is a vehicle of governance. And so I brought it back to the Longhouse. And so Sour Springs Longhouse is one of five ceremonial longhouses in Six Nations. This represents the Upper Cayuga people. It's been around since the late 1800s, and so many of the families who have went here, they have went here since we came to the Grand River. And I'm fortunate enough that my goes to Sour Springs and has went to Sour Springs um, for the entirety of our existence on the Grand River. Sour Springs Longhouse, it is so much more than just a place of ceremony. It is ceremony. This is where we conduct all our ceremonies, but it is also our place of governance. It's our place of harvest. It's our place of gathering. It's also our place for funerals. And so when we pass, so we're buried at the Longhouse with the rest of our people. So this space, and you can see from the photos I showed before, this space is everything to who we are as Ungwehue, who we are as Haudenosaunee people. And this really came up of, okay, if this represents our people, if this is who we are as Ungwehue, then let's bring our climate solutions. Let's bring the work that we're doing all across the country to create a sustainable future. Let's bring it home and let's bring it to the Longhouse. And so that's kind of how we came to this idea of, okay, we've seen this transition happen so many times in our community and leave our people out and not put our sovereignty and our ceremony at the forefront. How are we going to do this right? And that's really where this project idea came from in November 2022, when a few of us community members of the Longhouse came together and we said, let's push this project forward. And so since November 2022, we really started building meetings up, community meetings, longhouse meetings to really build out what this vision for ourselves was. And before we had anything figured out anything in our project, we knew we had these guiding principles that grounded us in the vision we wanted for our longhouse. One being Haudenosaunee-led climate solutions. So implementing climate solutions that are collectively defined by the Haudenosaunee people, by our clans, by our families, being going right into the next one, Haudenosaunee sovereignty and clan governance. So we're utilizing our Haudenosaunee hereditary governance as our main form of leadership and decision making. And so when I showed you that wampum earlier, that represents our clan governance. And we have chiefs and clan mothers and faith keepers for each clan. And so my good friend Courtney Sky, she always said the best community engagement is through our clan system. And I have taken that and ran with it because I believe, truly believe that is how we can be sovereign. And I think our project is a really great example of that. And lastly, capacity building. This wasn't just about implementing solutions, but building capacity in our community members to understand what is happening around us, to understand the impacts, but also to create the solutions and to create green skills and potential career pathways. So this is what really grounded our vision for the project, which later went into this development of this overview that was not just created by me, but was created by the people of the Longhouse. And so the Sour Springs Longhouse Sustainable Restoration, it's actually a three-phased project supporting Haudenosaunee just transition and security. A portion of that project was to focus on energy efficiency. And through my own work in just transition, I do not believe we should be moving forward on renewables without looking at energy efficiency first because we need to use less. The best energy is the energy we don't use. And so we really wanted to create the potential for minor to major energy retrofits on the four buildings on site to conserve energy, to reduce propane usage, and to improve indoor air quality. So energy that we're using in the longhouse, we want to use clean energy for. We want to use the power of the sun that Singuayat Disant, our creator, has given us. And so we said, okay, let's implement a solar PV system to support that energy usage at the longhouse. And then lastly, a seed storage. For us as Haudenosaunee, a just transition is beyond renewable energy, and our seeds are everything to who we are as Ungwehue peoples. And so with this project, it was like, okay, we can put energy efficiency, we can put solar PV, but what are we also going to do to sustain our culture and our seeds as Haudenosaunee people? And so our idea came to create a low carbon centralized space for seeds to support Haudenosaunee seed keeping, ceremonies, and food sovereignty. This was a product of a lot of different community engagement, a lot of different conversations over 3 years, still developing and completely informed and influenced by who we are as Haudenosaunee people. Which goes further into this project scope, which is a little bit more technical, that we were going to focus on community engagement, education, an electrical upgrade, an energy audit, energy retrofits, technical skills training, a solar PV system, a seed storage design, and then finally constructing a seed storage. And so I'm just going to get right into it. And you can kind of see this journey that I have taken over the course of these 3 years into really trying to achieve the project scope that we set out at the Longhouse. But firstly, I just want to give you a little context. This is the Longhouse. This is the site. So if you haven't been to Six Nations, I'm hoping to give you a little piece of what I call home. It's about 3 minutes from my house right now. And so I can go there whenever I want, but I wanted to share a piece to you guys. We have the Longhouse on site in the top, I think it's left corner for me. We have the cookhouse, the dining hall, and the study den. So our Longhouse is where we do ceremony. Our cookhouse is where we cook. Our dining hall is where we eat, and our study den is where we study the language and ceremony. And so it's really all these four buildings really represent what it means to live in a good way and what we need to live in with a good mind. And just to show you a little bit of the mapping, you can see it's so funny, these little um, I don't know what they're called, like sticky notes on there with Brett Miller and Eugene Miller. That's actually my family. So my family has lived beside the Longhouse for generations as well, right here, if you can see my mouse. But this is the property of those four buildings right there. And you can see all of this land is also part of that site where we actually plant our crops. But you can also see that there was potential with a lot of the fields and a lot of the land that we have for potentially solar. But before we could get into anything, and as someone who's worked in consultations, community engagement, education on our utility scale projects in Six Nations, I had a good idea of what our people wanted. They wanted to be informed, they wanted to have accessible education, and they wanted a variety of ways to access that kind of education and engagement. So this meant creating resources, this meant doing live demonstrations. This meant in the top right corner, going to our ceremonial events such as the Great Law of Peace recital and boothing for the week so that we can talk to as many members as possible. It meant hanging out with the kids and creating solar cards and coloring pages. And it also meant a lot of resources that I had to create myself to make it as accessible as possible. One of the things that I think was really strong that came out of this community engagement was the Sour Springs Longhouse Sustainable Restoration FAQ. I had this like running FAQ list that any questions people would ask me, I would either research them myself, go ask someone, and then I would put it in a document, a living document that people would be able to access. And I think one of the greatest things that I ever heard from one of our chiefs was, if Serena doesn't know, she'll figure it out. And I think that holds me accountable to know that our people want to be informed. Our people deserve to be informed because that is where sovereignty comes from. And to know that they know I will work tirelessly to make sure our people are informed because I have seen what that does when we aren't. And it leads to replicating the same inequities of the fossil fuel industry. I don't want that in Six Nations. So this community engagement education that I did with the Sour Springs Project, that was trying to shift this narrative. And it's really what informed many of the other aspects of the project, such as the electrical upgrade. The first thing that came from the community sessions was that we wanted to do on site was to update all the electrical. Having safe electrical on site was a core priority. And so we worked with a local electrician to support this upgrade because people wanted to feel safe. Okay, if we're doing energy efficiency, if we're doing solar PV, we need to make sure that the infrastructure we have in place already is going to be safe. And so we switched all to LED light bulbs on site. We updated the outdoor lights to LED as well. We updated any broken receptacles on site. We added 8 receptacles to the dining hall because we cook a lot at the Longhouse and we need that capacity to be able to use as many different appliances as possible. And we also added 6 receptacles to the study den to create a space for people to gather and to study and so that they can use their laptops, so that we can use our whiteboards, different things like that. And so this is really what came out first. And to do something small in the beginning, I think is really impactful when it comes to community work, is to show people, one, that you're accountable and you're dedicated, and two, to see that when we put our minds together, we can actually get it done. And then it went into our next phase of the project, which I'll be completely honest, I don't have a background in energy efficiency at all. But what we heard during our community engagement sessions is let's reduce our energy usage first. And so, with the help of amazingly amazing mentor Gail Lawlor, Green Venture and Efficiency Engineering. Okay, let's take a look at the building and let's go from there. You can see Kim from Green Venture was doing a blow door test, and in these other photos where the Gale and efficiency engineering look at the vapor barrier in the longhouse and checking out our furnace, our water tank, and starting to get the feel for what are the possibilities. And so from that, it went into an energy audit. And Gail supported me with working with efficiency engineering to complete a 180-page energy audit, a walkthrough audit that specifically looked at a GHG reduction pathway. So it provided about 15 different energy conservation measures that we could take in the longhouse to reduce our energy consumption and our energy usage, which I think is really amazing because personally, I don't have those technical skills. People in our longhouse don't necessarily have those technical skills. And so to be able to give in this pathway and to work collaboratively to define what this pathway could look like, it was extremely helpful towards these next steps of proposed energy retrofits. So he gave 15. We like projects take money. We can't do all 15. It leaves the pathway for the potential in the future. But with what we were given in the scope that we had, we said, okay, we're going to do heat recovery ventilators in the longhouse and in the dining hall. We're going to do an air source heat pump in the dining hall. We're going to replace the doors, which came out of the blow door test, which she really said just replace the doors. That's the biggest thing. And then we're going to do minor air sealing and weather stripping as well. Which then brings us to the actual implementation of the energy retrofits. And so after two audits, we move forward with these energy conservation methods, measures, specifically the weather stripping, the air sealing, and the air source heat pump. And as we were gathering quotes from different HVAC contractors, an issue came up regarding the HRV in the longhouse specifically. And so, due to the specific nature of the longhouse and the limited heating in this space, there was a place to install an HRV that would be able to. Sorry, there was no place to install an HRV. And so we were unable to actually put that because it was too cold in the attic, it didn't have enough insulation in the attic for heating. And then um, we didn't have a space in the longhouse because it's a ceremonial space. So instead, we actually just moved forward to focus on other areas and we installed a 3-ton air source heat pump reduction on site. From there, post energy retrofits, we decided to do technical skills training. And so we worked with North American Solar Academy to deliver 2-day in-person solar trainings. One being a solar PV installation and design training, the other being operations and maintenance, really focusing on the capacity in our community so that we can build the project ourselves. And from there, we started getting to the solar PV system. Using the remaining energy usage we had, we worked to get quotes and assessments from a few different solar PVs, and we knew we wanted to cover the 4 buildings on site, we wanted to cover the new energy retrofits, and we wanted the new seed storage building. With all that being said, we decided to move forward with Six Nations contractor Reserve Power. And we went from there. We worked with the contractors to create the design ourselves. You can actually see that image is from the electrician coming in with the community and showing how it all work. We could see that we want this hybrid setup, and we did a lot of different assessments, such as like helioscope, to be able to support what design that could look like. And from there, we moved forward with a solar PV system that would support the longhouse in the way it needed. It was a 24 kilowatt solar PV hybrid microgrid system, 44 the hybrid system, but no net metering agreement. So basically, we would be able to power the longhouse as much as we wanted, and we wouldn't be taking from the grid, only say in the winter when we need it back up. This would create 25,806 kilowatt hours percent energy offset. And just to get into some pictures from there with that design, construction begins. We actually picked screw piles because it was flooding in this area, and so it would be better than cement because it would have moved over time. And from there, I just want to show you some of the pictures of the couple days in August 2024 that got together and we built this thing. All our own community members building, all coming together in hopes of building energy future. This is us getting our last panel up, and this is our beautiful end product all together and everyone who built it. And then lastly, and I don't want to go over, so I'll try and wrap this up fast. We're moving into the seeds, this food sovereignty portion of the project, which really led to, okay, I don't know how to build a building. We need to go to the community on what kind of design they want. So really focusing on design, layout, materials, everything. This was all brought to the community, and everything that's informed the design comes from the community. And what came up was we need a space for seeds, but also food sovereignty. We want cedar, we want cold storage, we want climate control and HVAC. We want to connect the building to the other study den. We want 2 rooms, and we want to meet energy efficient building code. And these are community designs. Members of the community actually put this together and were like, this is the design we want, and worked to create their own designs, which I thought was really powerful in terms of engagement. Blueprints, though. I took everything that was said. And those first blueprints, no, they didn't want them. That wasn't the design. So again, we went back to the community design phase and had all of those conversations once again, because I think that's something, if it's not right, do it again, because it really needs to represent what the community wants. And it might delay your timeline, but that's okay. Lastly, then after doing that once again, we came back for more design conversations. We worked with Carl McQueen, a local vendor, and he created our blueprints for us. He worked with all the designs and comments from the community to come up with this final design. And once we had our finalized blueprints as of this summer, July 2025, we put out our RFP to gather quotes. And on September 17th, 2025, the Longhouse gathered for a meeting to choose our contractor. Six Nations owned company, Mudcat Milling, was successful in their bid. And we're moving forward on the project. So this seed storage is a $200,000 project and is scheduled to be completed by December 2025. We are extremely excited for this next phase in the project and can't wait to share it all with you. Lessons learned and next steps. I think in terms of the HRV, sometimes not all technological designs and infrastructure is going to work for our ceremonial spaces and is going to work for us as Ungwe peoples. And I think that was a really good reflection that came from that portion of the project. I think in terms of like the seed storage design, there we just because there is the potential for delayed timelines doesn't mean that we should move forward without what the community's vision and what they would like. So I think that was a really big thing is like projects will be delayed because we need to get it right. And we need to make sure that the community's vision is at the forefront. And then next steps, some of those next steps that I've been really thinking about is, well, one, finishing the seed storage build that will happen over the next couple of months. And they're trying to start right now this week. Um, and then really trying to build out what our longer term planning towards energy transition as well as food sovereignty looks like, especially with the seed storage, trying to build out a 7-year food plan in case of emergencies. So we have lots of amazing steps and things that we would like to move forward on, but we're just hoping to get the project finished first. And yeah, I just gratitude and pride to finish up. I've worked in this field for 10 years and I never felt like I was seen, I guess, in a way, like the vision that I had for our communities to be sovereign and healthy was. But this project has brought me full circle. And I have a lot of pride that I know that my longhouse will look at me and know I did things in the right way and I did it for our people. And sorry, I get a little emotional talking about this project because I would have never thought 10 years ago that I would be here. And I'm just really, really grateful and proud of the work we did together as Haudenosaunee people. To end us off, I have many special nyawas and thank yous. First, I just want to say like a big nyawa and Cleveland Thomas, our Onondaga Beaver Chief, who have worked tirelessly with me on this project over the last 3 years. I would not have been able to do it without them. I also want to give a quick shout out to Melina from Sacred Earth and the rest of our Sacred Earth team who really trusted me and believe in me to do this work and to do it in the right way and to have Sacred Earth as a vehicle to do the work that I want to do in this world. I also want to say thank you to 7 Gen and Student Energy. I would have never had a community like I do now within the clean energy space if I hadn't gone to that first 2019 summit. And so thank you to Shakti and Meredith and Helen for investing in me and always seeing the best in me. I wrote it down too. And then I also want to say thank you to Indigenous Clean Energy. Um, in at that same summit in 2019, Erin Stewart, former managing director, looked at me. She said, "I'm going to hire you one day." And she might not have hired me, but what she has done is invest in me. And what ICE has done over the last years is invest in me through the 2020 Catalyst and through ImaGENation program, and really believed in the ImaGENation team, Alex, Aubrey, right? I would have never thought ImaGENation would be where it is now, and it's all because of the tireless work that you guys have done as a team, and eternally grateful. And then also, yeah, thank you to my funders. You guys trust me, and specifically FES and many of the other funders, communities on the front lines. So that's just some of my many special thank yous. And now am very grateful for the opportunity to present. And sorry, it's weird presenting with all of you there, not seeing you, but yeah, I just want to end that. I am so grateful to be able to work on this project. This truly is like my baby and my lifeline. And it's basic. And I'm just grateful for ICE and believing in that vision and believing in me. So thank you.